Welcome to my new Let's Play of Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Often considered the best of the original Sonic games, this is the final and most interesting game in the Sonic Origins collection. One nice thing is, unlike the other games, this actually retains the original file select and character select, so we can choose from Sonic and Tails together, Knuckles, Tails, and Sonic alone. But for this playthrough, we'll be playing through this as Sonic and Tails together. So, as we arrive on Angel Island, we have now met Knuckles the Echidna, who has teamed up with Dr. Robotnik to stop us. He also took all of our Chaos Emeralds. But luckily for us, we will be able to get them back fairly easily, like one is right through here. Instead of collecting 50 rings and reaching a checkpoint or a giant ring at the end of a stage like in Sonic 1 or CD, to access the Chaos Emeralds and special stages, you have to find giant rings throughout each act. This will take you to the Blue Sphere minigame, which is actually one of the more popular special stages, partly because I feel like it's less overused compared to something like the Half Pipe. But personally, I kind of am a bit lukewarm on the Blue Sphere stages, mostly because of motion sickness. Basically, as you go along this little 3D area, it will eventually speed up, and basically the music will start to speed up, and you will start to speed up as well. Actually, this was glitched when Sonic Origins released, and the music didn't properly speed up, but it's since been patched. It's actually been a bit since the Sonic 2 playthrough, so there has actually been one patch. I think it's on version 1.4 now. So it's not perfect, but it is a little bit better than it was at launch. By the way, you can also collect rings by basically going around the outer edge of a group of blue spheres, and you will get a perfect bonus for collecting all of the rings. So we have our first Chaos Emerald, so let's head further into Angel Island Zone, Act 1. This is kind of a neat little opening area. We actually have some cool gimmicks though, like over here. We actually have an elemental shield making its debut in Sonic 3. There are three types of elemental shields. The bubble shield will protect you in water, but there are two more we'll be seeing later. We can also push objects like this. You might notice the ground looks a little bit different. That means we can actually break through this. The bubble shield will also give us a bit of a bounce, sort of like the precursor to the bounce in Sonic Adventure 2 onwards. Once we head through here, something special should happen. So, Dr. Robotnik's robot army has basically set the island on fire, changing the tone considerably. One difference in this collection is Sonic will actually stop, or any character will stop, and move towards the center of the screen as soon as the robot appears. That was not the case in the original. Through here, we should have another giant ring up here. So for our second special stage, we have a ton of blue spheres, over 100, and also over 100 rings. So one of the toughest things about blue sphere stages, other than, just motion sickness in my opinion, is actually getting all of the rings. One change compared to the original, which I actually very much approve of, this was actually first implemented into Sonic Mania, which actually makes a lot of sense, is the counter for the rings goes down. In the original, it started at 0 and went up, making it very hard to actually track how many rings you have. So honestly, that change makes it a lot easier to actually get a perfect bonus. So yeah, this version was actually developed specifically for this collection, unlike the other games in Sonic Origins. Sonic 3 had never been released on mobile, so yeah, this was a new version of the game developed by Headcanon, the company belonging to Simon Tomley, or Stealth, and developed with the Retro Engine by Christian Whitehead, or Taxman. So yeah, it's very much in line with the other games, but there are some quirks, both good and bad, because this version is not a pre-existing version of the game. We'll go into that a little bit later. By the way, the patch that also fixed the speed up for the music also fixed things like the Tails bug in Sonic 2 with him like constantly jumping. But yeah, there are still a few glitches. It's not perfect, but it is definitely way better than it was at launch, but it's also still definitely not in as good of shape as it could be, and I'm also not expecting another patch because it's actually been a bit. My least favorite part about Blue Spheres is simply going in circles constantly, not being able to find anything, like now. I am having a heck of a time locating these final Blue Spheres. I almost feel like this one's pretty linear too, so I actually don't know why I'm having this much trouble. There we go. We have a large group of blue spheres, which explains why the counter is so high, and also why I wasn't able to find any for a long time. There's a large group of rings. By the way, I'm not really concerned about going for all the rings. It's kind of a nice little bonus challenge, but especially in the later stages, it's going to be more trouble than it's worth. Again, if you're playing on Anniversary mode, you will actually be able to retry special stages with coins. By the way, my coin counter has actually been reset because of like the cutscene at the beginning not playing for some reason. To elaborate further about the cutscene not playing, it's because the opening cutscenes for each game, like the one with Knuckles and Robotnik in this game, will only play the first time you start a game on this collection. So because I had to restart this recording, I actually had to delete my save file to get the cutscene to play again. I do not understand why they only play once. I feel like that's actually really annoying, specifically because I do like showing the little opening cutscenes, but yeah, they straight up will not play after the first time you boot each mode. Both Anniversary and Classic mode will actually have them play separately. This is the Fire Shield, by the way, which makes this boss a joke because this is a fire attack boss, so that was easy, but we also have a little, never mind. Unlike the previous games, we are immediately thrown into Act 2 directly from the end of Act 1, which is actually pretty cool. We're also thrown directly into an area with another ring. I feel like the other two are hidden pretty well, so if you don't know where they are, you might easily miss them. This one is like trying to sort of teach you about giant rings. Which is actually kind of neat in some ways, because it also might get you thinking about like, oh wait, I didn't see any in Act 1, so maybe there are some hidden in that as well. This one is like the first really tricky one that I remember in terms of getting all the rings. Basically, if you collect them as you see them, you will basically end up with a group of blue spheres that will automatically turn into rings, meaning you actually can't collect any of them. So you actually have to miss one blue sphere, collect the final rings, and then double back for the blue sphere that you deliberately have to pass up. Again, that's assuming you're actually going for all perfects, which again, I don't entirely recommend, because that's very grueling, actually. So yeah, I also feel like certain backgrounds make blue spheres worse. Like, this one isn't bad. I say as someone who doesn't have issues with like color blindness, which I realize this might actually be a problem if you're colorblind. But certain stages definitely have problems, like with red backgrounds, making it very hard to actually see where things are. Well, that was a mistake. So now we have to make a very tight jump to get back over here. I thought it was a different section. This is the one I meant to skip. Never mind. Yeah, I'm definitely misremembering this one. With the speed up, it is actually pretty easy to jump over 2 at once, so it wasn't that big of a deal messing up there, but that was definitely still a closer call than I would have liked, especially in the 3rd special stage. So back on track, we have to break that again, and then head down through the slower path. By the way, the elemental shields are affected by other elements, so like the bubble shield will protect you in water, but you obviously can't bring the flame shield into water. The flame shield, I don't know if I actually really mentioned it, but the flame shield actually gives you a forward dash, which almost feels like a precursor to the homing attack, except it doesn't home in, obviously. So as we head up here, we have a path upwards, and we have this breakable wall as well, going further into the water. I do like how this game has a lot of optional pathways as per tradition for a 2D Sonic game. It definitely provides a sense of replayability, but also adventure, because you have the... so we have this. If you have 20 rings and pass a checkpoint, you can actually access these little sub-games to get more rings or extra lives, or in this case, losing rings because my luck is atrocious, as per usual. This is also very similar to the Sonic 1 special stage, and that's not necessarily a compliment in my opinion, but we also have these little goal spheres to end the minigame, but the actual squares will eventually turn into goal spaces as well. So let's head out of here, because I feel like with my luck, I'm just going to lose rings in the process. So back on track, I completely forgot what I was going to say before seeing the little sparkles above the checkpoint. Now we have the lightning shield. This will let us double jump, but it also attracts rings to us. Also, these obviously give you an extra hit as well, so they're very helpful in areas with like a lot of enemies, and in some cases where enemies have projectiles, the shields will actually deflect projectiles like these. So yeah, the shields are actually pretty cool. I'm pretty sure in the mobile versions there's actually codes to implement the elemental shields into Sonic 1, 2, and CD, or at least 1 and 2, I'm pretty sure, have those. Also, we completely glitched out the water, but if we go up here, we should find another ring. So yeah, even post-patch, this does have a few issues. I actually don't know if that's the case in the original Genesis version, but that was definitely because we jumped into the water with the lightning shield. I remember this one being a little bit annoying because there's like very specific blue spheres that you have to jump across, bumpers to get. And if you like don't time your jump properly, the bumper will basically knock you straight back into the red sphere that you just the blue sphere you just ran into, and now that's now a red sphere. And also, I actually don't think I mentioned it, but touching the red spheres instantly ends this mode. But again, if you're playing on Sonic Origins Anniversary mode, you can use the coins to retry special stages, which is nice. Again, if you have the Deluxe Edition, you actually start with coins. I'm actually going out of my way for these, just so I don't have to worry about like that jump at full speed, because I imagine that would be very annoying trying to jump for those 3 Actually, this one won't be bad for a perfect, because to get the rings, you actually always end up with like a few loose blue spheres, like at the two entrances to the areas with the bumpers. So yeah, this one won't be that bad, hopefully. So yeah, our final says right over here, I completely messed that up. Wow, I turned too soon. So this is actually going to be a little bit complicated now. I actually don't know how to do this, because I kind of cut off the path to the other blue sphere, so let's try something tricky. I'll be honest, I kind of expected to have to restart this one, because I remember having trouble with this when practicing. Yeah, basically a problem I have is like how acceleration works. Like, it almost feels like at times you have to turn a little bit earlier than you might think, which also causes the problem of sometimes you turn way too early and then cause problems like that. So, at slow speeds, I almost feel like, yeah, you have to kind of turn early a little bit, or later than you might think, and then you have to, like, counter-correct and start turning, like, way sooner than you expect as it speeds up. So yeah, the variable timing because of the speed-ups is, I think, what makes Blue Sphere somewhat tricky. And yeah, we haven't even seen the worst of it yet. This is the fourth of, like, a lot. To avoid spoilers, I'm just going to say a lot. And especially if you played Mania, you will know how bad Blue Sphere can get, because Blue Sphere is actually in Mania as well, incorporating a lot of stages from this game, but also some original ones as well, and those are very fiendish.